Right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll let the latecomers join us as they enter the call. Good morning, everyone. My name is Margaret Jordan. I am at on the committee for Women in Transaction through ACG Cleveland. Women in Transaction is a committee of ACG Cleveland, and we strive to put on programming that is valuable and helpful to our members of ACG, especially our women members, but everyone is always welcome at our programs, and we really appreciate all of you joining us this morning. We've been trying to do virtual programs at least once a month to keep our members engaged and connected, and we are really pleased today to have Katherine Miracle with us to talk about personal branding in this virtual environment and how things have changed and how you can up your game with regard to your personal brand and setting yourself apart. A couple housekeeping items today. We're going to keep everyone on mute so that there isn't any background feedback when Katherine is talking. However, we do welcome and want you to be interactive during this program, so you can either use the chat feature or turn your mute off and ask a question or provide some anecdote or story or answer questions that Katherine might ask during her presentation. We're going to do some networking at the end of the program. We'll do a breakout that's in small groups, randomly assigned, so you can get to know a few people through this program. And then after that, we'll reconvene and we're going to raffle off a couple of Katherine's books. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Katherine Miracle. Katherine Miracle, MBA, is an award-winning keynote speaker and marketer, and she is the founder and CEO of Miracle Resources. Katherine and her team have created campaigns that have increased revenue and strengthened teams for over 100 brands. She is the author of 4 books that are used by her 54 trainers in the Brand Plus Team Equals Revenue National Training Program. Katherine and her team have trained over 100,000 professionals, and Katherine has given over 1,000 keynote speeches that have helped build the communication revolution called the inquisitive culture. And she is really a dynamic speaker, and I'm pleased to have her here today. She's my friend and sorority sister, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say. So I will turn it over to you. Thank you, Katherine.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm honored to be here, and I want to start off with a question. What is your miracle resource? Now, you may want to write it down. You may have it right in your, what is that value that you bring? Now, maybe it was something even as a child that you did that it's just you. You're just like, and I'll use Margaret as an example. Margaret's a problem solver. Anytime you ask her a question, she's just an amazing resource. What is it that you have that is that value proposition that no matter what situation you're in, that's what you do. That's what you bring to the table. Some people, it's encouragement. Their brand is they will always encourage. They will lift people up. Some people, it is critical review. They're the person that you want to look at things. They'll give you the honest feedback. What is your miracle resource? Now, you know that you can always open up your mic. I love to hear from you. I love it interactive. Do I have anybody who you can kind of think right now, what is my miracle resource? What is the value I bring? Maybe it's something you've always had, or maybe it's something you wanted to have and you studied and you researched, and now you're that person. So anybody willing to share, what is your miracle resource? What is that value that you bring?
Katherine, I'll kick it off.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm also a problem solver, and my technique is to keep on asking the questions, how do you know that's true? Because usually when there are problems, disagreements, there are assumptions that are made that are wrong. People have different assumptions. And when you reconcile those, everything flows out of that.
Chris, that's excellent. And for everyone, I'd like you to write down the word inquisitive. Having an inquisitive culture in your company is something that you can model. That means that you observe and you listen. And that means you truly learn. Being inquisitive is not the inquisitioner, the person who asks the tough, really nasty questions. It's more of exploring, listening, and observing. And that's important for all of our brands. But Chris, I want to thank you because that's excellent. For each one of you, I do want you to know there are some resources besides your miracle resource that I'm bringing you today via Margaret, because Margaret's awesome. Margaret put together articles. I think there's 4 of them, and she's going to be sending them to you. And one of the articles talked about some resources you have in this virtual world of your personal brand. Some of the articles are about things like the background you choose. Now, please remember, everyone, how you answered my first question, which is what is your miracle resources? What is that? What value you bring? Your background should reflect that. So for me, you can see in the background, we own 3 brands and we're training. I'm on some days 9 Zooms a day. I have to let you know where I work so you can find me. You can find Katherine Miracle, but if you forget that, you may have a screenshot of today's meeting. You're going to know exactly where I am. And I'm not saying you have to have a logo behind you. All I'm saying is that if you say that you're very much the professional that helps people and listens, if you have a background that's distracting from that, it doesn't fit the brand. And one of these articles that Margaret has, it really goes over lighting. And I want to talk about lighting, and I want you to remember, this is a great resource for you. Yes, I believe a ring light, the circled light, is wonderful on your face, but I'm pretty pale. Margaret knows I'm very pale. So I have a more incandescent, like yellow tone light, and that helps me. And then I also have side lighting. So it is important to think about your lighting. The other part is distraction. And look at my screen of me. I had my husband made these for me. It says Zoom meeting in progress. Please do not knock or ring doorbell. Why? Because the Amazon person or someone delivering food could interrupt a meeting where I'm doing a training. So it's just little things like that. Now, there are some outside distractions that you can't help. Your neighbor has somebody with a chainsaw coming to take down a tree. You can't help that, but you can mask that. One of the things that we say in virtual presentation for your personal brand, all of us need to be extra. Now, what do I mean by extra? Extra means that if I was in front of you on a stage, I might be moving, I might be gesturing. So I have to talk directly into the camera. I have my camera set a little higher, so I'm looking up. And each one of you may want to do yours differently. But what we don't want, and you guys have been on Zooms with people, they're looking down, you can see inside their nose. We don't want that. That's not good for your personal brand. So the resources of how you dress should go with that question. If your value proposition is very, very much you're the professional, then you want to dress that way. So everything that you choose, whether for ladies a lipstick color or whether it's the way you do your hair, but bringing a smile, bringing that energy, enunciating, speaking clearly, those things matter. So there are choices that you can make, but they should fit your personal brand. There's technological choices that you can make that will help you in the way that you look. I have a second monitor, which I like very much because I can see the participants, but I can also see my slides. The second monitor has been wonderful. But something new in technology that Margaret brought to me, which I'm considering doing, is using a different device just for Zooms. I have a client who actually uses an iPad just for Zooms. That means all the other stuff on your computer isn't on there, which could be a distraction and also could maybe even slow down your Wi-Fi. So these are some things that I want you to know that are technology, but also appearance. But your choices should always be fitting what your strategic personal brand is, your value proposition. So any questions on that one? Or Margaret, any comments? You're good? Okay. All right, then let's go on to my question, which is, what is your value proposition? What is that one thing you do that you bring to the table? And when did your brand develop? Let me tell you a story. I love stories. One of our clients is very gregarious and is a lead salesperson for this company that we do marketing for. Very big personality, very loud, very energetic and fun, always telling jokes. There are some clients who love that. Like, he is the perfect fit to sell for those types of clients. Now, should he change his strategic personal brand to fit other clients? We're not asking him to change who he is and his brand, but he knows with certain clients, they want to talk more. So he may need to pull that back. So although his personal brand would be fun, humorous, gregarious, he's also added to that listening and observing. And we've moved him into a campaign, which I'll share in just a little bit. But do I have anybody who's willing to share, when did your brand develop? Did you know as a little kid that you were the problem solver? Were you the kid on your street who was an entrepreneur and had lemonade stands and franchises of your lemonade stand? Who were you? When did your brand develop? Anybody willing to share? And go ahead and unmute. For some of you, you've known it your whole life. For some of you, after college, maybe things changed. For some of you going into this profession, maybe things changed. Anyone willing to share? All right, well then let's talk about your nicknames. I'm going to put you on the spot if you're willing to share. Some people's nicknames really branded them in a good way and some in not a good way. So another story, my brother-in-law was called Butchie. He hated it. His father wanted him to play football and be butch and be real tough. But as it turns out, he loved playing music. He was more quiet. He loved being in the symphony. He hated the name Butch. So that nickname was a horrific brand for him. Anybody willing to share their nickname? Go ahead and share yours. You guys are like me. I don't want to share mine. I didn't like mine at all. So what happens is we tend to believe about ourselves the brands that were put on us. So maybe in the family, you were at the athletic one. Your sister was the pretty one. You had a brother who was ill growing up, so he was the sick one. Well, that really can hurt us. We can be boxed into those beliefs. And when we worked on strategic personal branding in 2009, this is even what came up. And I want to apologize. I can't see chat, but I saw a little thing. So Margaret, would you be willing to share what came up in chat? I think
Sure.
someone's responding.
So Trish said that her nickname is Trish the Dish. And my nickname that I got in high school and through college was Marge. And I didn't like that very much because there was that movie Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, and they said, tell them Large Marge sent you. And I always struggled with my weight, and it wasn't a very cool nickname. So I had to shake that shit as soon as possible. So nobody calls me Marge anymore.
I don't blame you. And you know, those nicknames really can hurt. Now, Trish the Dish could be Trish in the Know. Did you like it, Trish, or no?
I guess I was indifferent. I thought it was funny. I mean,
So it was okay. Okay.
it was fine. Yeah, I didn't feel offended. I guess. I was not offended.
Now, for some of us, we have to go back to build that strategic personal brand. There are things about you that you have believed because other people said them that aren't true. So like Margaret changed and she said, no, I'm getting rid of that. So those beliefs can lead to actions. And let me show you the consequence of this. Why we have to go back to what you believe about yourself and the brands that were given to you is because you have to shake them so you can go to the next level and become the person you want to become. So here's the problem. When this alleged woman was getting married, as a child, she was always the pretty one, but she felt that she was overweight. She went on the feeding tube diet. This is an extreme action. This is the problem. I also know many people who are called the sick one. It's a horrific brand because it makes you stop and think, well, I'm sick. I don't know if I could do that. Or am I pretty enough? Or am I athletic enough? And we know so many people who were athletes that when that identity changed, they didn't know what to do. And I do believe in this statement. And I'd like to ask you if you guys know who said these words. It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do. So today we're going to spend time on actions and personal branding. Okay, anybody know who said these words? Anybody in chat, Margaret, that knows who said these words?
This slide isn't up yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, so it isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do. That's why today we're talking about actions and your strategic personal brand. She's an author, very famous, books made into movies. She is Jane Austen. All right. So why do we talk about all of these things? Today, we're going to talk about your brand plan. We're going to talk about the 360 of you. Now, again, we're condensing this to make sure we fit time-wise. So I want you to stop me at any time if you have questions, but I'm inviting you into my workday, and you're going to learn about your personal brand through my next question. I want you to do my job for the day. My company is asked to brand companies. And if you were to brand America, what would you say? Think about German engineering, Amish craftsmanship, American what? What would you say? Go ahead and unmute. We've got German engineering, which by the way was created by a marketer, Amish craftsmanship, and then American what? What would you say?
As an immigrant, a legal one, I would say freedom. You have the freedom to believe what you want to believe.
Well, that's fabulous. Thank you, Chris. Who else?
Patriotism.
American patriotism. Okay, keep going. These are all good. Good. I like them. Keep them coming.
Ingenuity.
Ingenuity. Good. Okay. I think there's one in the chat.
Fortitude. Excellent.
American fortitude. Excellent. These are all good. Some people would say American education because we had so many people come to our country for American education. Some people say American pie, American made. Some people say American Idol, but whatever you said, do you guys all see America's a lot of things? We're the melting pot. It's hard to brand America, right? So you may be feeling like, you know, Katherine, I'm not just one thing. That's right. That's why this slide is up, because you are many things. So how do you figure out your brand? If you had the world listening, let's say you were in this position where you had everyone listening, what would your statement be to the world? I'd like you to write that down. You don't have to share it. You may not know it now, but I guarantee it'll come to you at 3 in the morning at some point. If you could say anything to the world right now, the whole world is listening, what would you say? That is your brand. Now, for me, I would say respect myself, respect others. If we could just play in that zone, and that's why I do the training and we work on company culture and I work on personal brands. So that's kind of my mantra, which becomes a campaign. So for some of you, like I had a student who said, Mrs. Miracle, my grandma always said, God gives you one hand to help others and one hand to help yourself. That's a campaign. If you believe that, that's the way you work. That's the way you sell. So the way that I sell at Miracle Resources is respecting myself, knowing my boundaries, respecting others. Why is this so important? Because this is our yes and no, everyone. This is our line in the sand. If we know this statement, we know how to dress, what kind of lighting we need, what kind of makeup we need, the way in which we communicate. If I say that I respect myself and respect others, my emails, my communication to people, if I'm respecting them, is more of asking them how they're doing and is there anything they need. Now I respect myself to still state what I need. So anybody willing to share, or did anybody come up and chat? This is a deep question, everyone. It might not come to you today, but is there anybody willing to share? Okay, it's a tough one. I know this is a tough one, but remember, you have to build your external brand on the internal. So again, writing this book, and I started in 2009, published in 2015. We're going to be giving it away today. This has exercises, is very much a workbook to build your brand and to also promote yourself and to help you increase your revenue, to help you sell. That's the key. So we got to know the internal first. So let me give you a little more help. You guys know, I'm the friend you call when, or I'm the professional you call when, or when you need. Now take a look at this slide. This was scary for one of our clients because she wanted to change how she was respected in the workplace. And her answers were, I'm the friend you call when you need to move. And I said, really? People ask you to move? I said, do you have like a truck? And she goes, no, people always ask me to help them move. And even people I don't know very well. I'm like, okay. So what is she communicating? What is she doing? She doesn't want to get the call to help people move. She wants to be the professional you call when you need advice or when you need solutions. So we looked at her social media, and what she was saying was just how she would help and how she was always there for her friends, which is a great thing. But she wasn't sharing her thoughts and her solutions and what she was reading and what she was watching. Once we changed how she was communicating back to her internal, she had a campaign similar to mine. She had to respect herself and respect others. So does anybody want to answer the question? I'm the friend you call when? Because I know Margaret, if you don't mind me using you, Margaret gets a lot, because I'm on social media with her. People ask Margaret's advice a lot. They want to know whether it's a restaurant, and, you know, honestly, they could Google it, but they just love Margaret. And so they ask her, and, you know, she's the professional because she's got this marketing mind that people call. So Margaret, I think you're liking when people call you and they ask you for things. You like what you're getting asked to do.
Definitely, definitely.
Good, but that's because Margaret is communicating and she's on her social media. Her personal brand has some work things, but she's got a lot of social. She even posts what she ate and the recipes in the comments. You know, when we think about social media, I have clients that post once a month and are successful. I have clients that post 4 times a day. It depends on your brand. I also want to make a comment on one of the articles that Margaret found, and I'm really glad she found it. It's a gentleman talking about the number of followers. Back in the day, it was, you need to buy followers. That is never going to be the advice of Miracle Resources. I realize other marketing firms would say to do it, but when you look at your personal brand, you will grow it, again, strong grassroots with people who are actual people who will follow you. Any comments on that one? Now, companies can buy followers. We understand that. But as a personal brand, I want you to connect with your audience. So anybody need help on these? I'm the friend you call when, or I'm the professional call when you need. I want you to think about the second one. When you sell, I'm the professional you call when you need solutions. I looked at all of you and where you work and some of your titles. You need to be that person that is the first call. And that I want you to start saying in your personal branding. Let me be the first call. I will help you. I will get you the resources. You want to get that first call when they need a solution. Okay, comments or questions on this one?
I can give you a comment.
Yes.
I've been working on my elevator speech, which takes that form for 10 years. And I finally came up with one that got it down to 7 words. And I can rephrase it in terms of that. But what it is I'm the professional you call when you need to replace outdated ERP software. And
Oh, that's awesome.
it's taken so long to find that.
But I'm so glad you found it because it's so specific. And I love it that it's so specific. And I think we all struggle with that. And let me go back to that slide. We need to start sharing with people that we have those solutions, but we need to be specific. Many people don't understand. My company owns 3 brands. I mean, I've got trainers all over the country who will say, well, I was talking to somebody who doesn't need training, but they need PR. Okay, well, we're going to help them with that. It's very confusing to people. You know, number one question I get is, Miracle really my last name? You know, again, it's just your personal brand dictates what you do. And Chris, you've done a great job. You've been specific. So I want you guys to move into campaign phase. Campaign phase means, and if you remember the picture of the woman with all of the TV cameras and microphones in front of her, what is your message to the world? Your message to the world and what you want to share with the world and how you play with the world needs to be in a campaign. So I actually had this bracelet made. And I believe for me, I'm a former people pleaser, which if you are the one who wins the book, you'll read about that. I had to change that because I was taking the wrong kind of clients, not getting paid enough and working like crazy. So I had to respect myself and I have to respect others. There has to be that line in the sand. So I want you to think about your campaign. What is your campaign? And Chris, you said yours. It's clear. That is what you do. That's when people should call you. So questions on the campaign, because this builds the external. by building the internal. So even down to things that you possess, things you wear, the water bottle that you choose, or the coffee mug you choose. Margaret, hold up your coffee mug. You know who Margaret is. Look at this coffee mug. There you go. Okay, her campaign has to fit that. So the choices we make and our backgrounds and what we wear, it has to go with the campaign. If you know the campaign, personal branding is easy. But if you're trying to be someone else, it doesn't work. So I want to talk about the connection to your market. We have to have a connection to our target market. And one of our clients, Crystal, in the skating community, she makes skating costumes. She knows the product. So part of your personal brand, please remember, is your knowledge of your product and understanding your audience. Also, are you letting your audience test drive your product? That means, can they spend time with you? And I'm going to give you an innovative, fun idea to help them. Like, I test drove a Jeep and I wanted one. I never thought a Jeep would be what I would buy until I test drove it. Now, these are some things that I put on screen to help you out. Do you have any questions on these? Because again, we're recording today. You can go back and look at them. But I want you to know that Blitz for me means I actually stopped by. I actually, when I wanted to teach college, dropped off my resume. Nobody did that. I dropped off the CV as well. No one did that. And at 24 hours later, I get a call. And it was because they met me. They saw my personal brand. They saw the loyalty that I have and how I love to educate. So Blitz means stopping in. These are things all of us can be doing. Quick surveys on our social media, second wave referrals, meaning when you look at a wedding has many, many clients. The bride, they need invitations, they need the band, they need the venue. Second wave referral means that an event planner may say, well, let me tell you where to get invitations. You need to talk to people who are also serving your client. If you want to sell more, you've got to help them. You'll spend less time and smarter time getting to what we call the Freds. Freds are the people who really need you. Shirleys are the people who, for some of my customers are retail, they'll buy a Groupon and never come in. You will spend so much time getting Shirleys. You need to market directly to the Freds, the people who will work with you. Now back to a question about you. Take a look at this picture. This is a house in Menor on the Lake that Craig and I were thinking about buying. And you can see the lake through the window in the back. When you walked in the house, everyone said, because it went 3 floors up when you walked in, they said, amazing. Well, the realtor was a smart marketer, put that right in the materials because that was the word people say. Now I have a question for you. What's one word when people meet you that they say? Yes, you are a product. Yes, you are a brand. People look at you and they may say, Margaret's a problem solver. That's the word they use. You got to meet Margaret. She's a problem solver. You got to meet Margaret. She's connected. Now, each one of you guys has something that people say. Anybody willing to share? Love to see one in chat if we could. Okay, these go to our keywords, the frequently asked questions about ourselves. These are how we build our personal brand. If people are saying keywords about you that you don't like, and I do want you to do a crazy exercise on social media or with friends, ask 3 people to describe you in 1 word. You get those keywords. Be ready to answer the frequently asked questions. They want to know about you. And for each one of you, the key is this. You need social media spies. I want you to start setting Google alerts, not only on yourself, but a Google alert on your product. And see, you've got to use your Google alerts to find out what people are writing and what people are buying. And we also need brand ambassadors. Brand ambassadors are people who you don't say to them, would you be a brand ambassador? Because most people will say, oh, I don't have time. But these are the people that will talk about you and recommend you. It is okay to ask them to write reviews. We love that. Then we talk about you guys and events. This is an event that we did called Sushi, Sake, and Service. It was at a upscale car dealership. We had so much fun because we brought everyone together for a girls' night out. We raised money for charity, and it goes right with the brand of the car dealer, Sushi, Sake, Service. The women who attended the event got to know the service manager, and guess what? They came in and bought cars. So what events are you having? Like Margaret and the team today organizing this so you could learn more about personal branding. That's excellent. But friends, you live in a difficult world, and I need you to remember PU, which is positive update. You need to do a positive update when you get slammed by your competition. And sadly, you will. There are times that people will write things. This is my office in Akron. This is actually our office in Akron. When I posted this, a competitor wrote, "Oh, Miracle Resources, they charge $5,000 a minute for video. We've never charged $5,000 for a minute for video." I could have slammed the competition, but instead I did a positive update, a PU, where I wrote, "This is our office. Come in. Let's talk about your video. For the month of December, we're doing $500 a minute video." We got 3 new clients from it. Had I taken the low road and not done a positive update, I would have looked like an angry competitor. But instead, what did I do? I did a positive update. And let me share with each one of you, as you've been hearing all of these things that you can do, having a campaign, doing positive updates, selling more by targeting the right people, I would love to have you steal this from me. It's been so successful. I have 15-minute virtual strategies with people free. It's confidential. It's mocktails or cocktails with Katherine. And I have the mocktail, they have the cocktail, and we just talk. Now, when they tell me the difficulty they're facing in the workplace, I listen and I help them. Now, some of you may say, but that blows compliance. That won't fit in my compliance. Well, make this innovative idea work for you. It could be because this has become my brand, the mocktail and cocktail. I get business by doing this. Again, these are free 15-minute virtual strategies. Again, keyword virtual. Making virtual happen is having some fun in these conversations, but me listening. This has led to Publicity, which is the next thing that I want to talk with you guys about. It's your job to create news. Create news means I would love to see each one of you. Margaret recently was in Cranes. She did a column with Janice, right, Margaret?
Pam Wright, my colleague. At
Sorry,
Sig-
you did with Pam. Okay, so you and Pam did an educational update. It was on nonprofits. Also the e-newsletters, the press releases. You may not think it is newsworthy, but I was a reporter, and if it was a well-written press release and we were interested, we went for it. Also your human interest stories, the stories about you. Personal branding means you're sharing who you are. And of course, we love contests. Now, the campaign. It's time for you to, again, put together your personal brand. Take the time. You can use one of my mocktail cocktails with me for a 15-minute free virtual strategy. Let's talk about your campaign. Let's connect you. And when I say media, I don't mean you have to be on the news, but it could be social media. And I want you guys to know, as you look at personal branding, I am always here to answer questions. But if you remember anything about what I said, it's building the internal first, and then that dictates the external. So at this time, I would like to take questions that you have before we go into networking. Is there anything in chat that I missed?
No, I don't think so.
So let's hear from you guys. What are some things you're struggling with? What do you hate about personal branding? Be honest. I have many people who say to me, I hate personal branding. I feel like it's boastful. But remember, when you start internal, you're sharing the solutions you provide, which is your value proposition. So questions?
Katherine, go ahead, Julie. Go ahead.
One thing that I know that I've sort of struggled with is in the earlier days, really separating Facebook and LinkedIn as one's professional, one's personal. And then eventually the lines blur a little. I've never really talked about work ever on Facebook, but I'm thinking I may be hindering myself by doing that. So curious about your thoughts on that.
Julie, that's an excellent question. You know, I want you guys to remember, you have many people on Facebook who are selling makeup, selling essential oils. They're not afraid to get out there and do that. And it's business stuff for them. It is fine for you to say that you're hosting something, especially if you attend a networking like you can talk about today. Those are wonderful things, especially on LinkedIn. But once in a while on Facebook, yeah, and you're probably not going to get as many likes and engagement. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is somebody knows what I do. And it's funny because I spoke in an event 6 years later, I got hired by someone and she said, I had saw your post. I always wanted to hire you. I didn't think I had money, but you were talking about Miracle Resources National Training Program. So I called you. Now that was a 13-month engagement for Miracle Resources, and it was very lucrative. I posted on Facebook. What if I wouldn't have posted it? Maybe she wouldn't have reached out. So always think, people don't know. We know what we do, but it's okay to share. And just remember, there are people, they're not afraid to share. They're putting their stuff out there all the time. And I don't think it should be all the time. So I think for every 3 posts that are personal, why not throw in one that's work related? Let people know what you do and how you help. So put on your hero cape. And that's what I mean. Amy Acton says it, you know, for each one of us, we have to put on our cape to be healthy and safe right now. But why aren't we putting on our cape of how we help? I felt during the pandemic, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, what can I do? So I ended up doing a lot of free Zooms and I donated money. You know, I put on my cape to help. Don't be afraid to do that. Put on your cape and show how you help. Because again, you all have solutions that people need. Thanks, Julie. Great question.